Have you ever had a day where everything seemed to line up effortlessly? The right phone call came in at the perfect time. The conversation you were dreading turned out better than you expected. And even the small details, the traffic lights, the parking spot, the flow of your meetings worked out in your favor. It's almost as if life itself was orchestrating events on your behalf. Most people chalk those days up to luck, chance, or coincidence. But what if those experiences weren't random at all? What if they were proof of something deeper at work? A principle that explains why manifestation sometimes feels effortless and at other times feels like pushing a boulder uphill. That principle is resonance. In physics, resonance occurs when two objects vibrate at the same frequency. Imagine striking a tuning fork and placing it near another tuning fork of the same pitch. Without touching it, the second fork begins to vibrate too. Energy transfers without strain, without force. Manifestation works in the same way. When your inner state, your thoughts, emotions, and identity vibrates at the frequency of what you desire, the world around you begins to resonate with that signal. People show up, opportunities appear, solutions unfold. Not because you force them into existence, but because your inner frequency matched the outcome you were seeking. Here's the problem. Most people approach manifestation as if it's purely about effort. More grinding, more lists, more long nights of stress and hustle. They push the piano across the room instead of simply playing the right note. They try to force reality into compliance. And while effort has its place, it will never compare to the effortless momentum that comes when you are in resonance with your goal. Resonance creates alignment, and alignment creates flow. This is why certain days feel easy, while others feel like an endless uphill climb. It's not that the external world changed, it's that you changed. When you're tired, resentful, or doubtful, your frequency wobbles. The world reflects back that instability in the form of resistance, delays, and missed chances. But when you're clear, grateful, and intentional, your signal stabilizes. People can feel it. They trust you. They open doors without you having to knock as hard. For those of you who are over 35 balancing careers, family, and countless responsibilities, this principle matters even more. The answer isn't to add more to your already full plate. It's to subtract what scrambles your signal and simplify what aligns it. That's how manifestation becomes effortless. By tuning, not by forcing. So here's your first practical step. Choose one outcome that would truly change the next 12 months of your life. Not 10 goals, not a scattered list, just one. Then ask yourself, if this outcome were already my reality, how would I feel every day? Confident.com. Free. Once you identify that feeling, practice it daily in simple ways. Take a mindful walk. Start your morning with a quiet coffee, no phone in sight. Breathe deeply before entering your workspace. These small practices stabilize your frequency, and once you play your note consistently, the world has no choice but to respond. That's resonance. That's why some days flow and why your future can too. Every intention you set has two layers. The first is the surface desire, the thing you say you want. A promotion, a new home, a healthier body, a stronger relationship. Those are the whats. But underneath the surface lies the true signal, the reason, the identity, the deeper state of being you're really after. This is the why. And here's the truth: manifestation responds not to the surface level, what, but to the clarity and consistency of the why. Think about it. Two people may want the same outcome: financial freedom. One person desires it because they're tired of scarcity, ashamed of past failures, and desperate to escape debt. The other desires it because they want to live with generosity, to create stability for their family, and to build from a place of purpose. Both are sending out signals, but they are radically different signals. The first is rooted in fear. The second, incongruence. And resonance responds differently to each. The first creates static. The second creates clarity. Noise is what happens when your outer requests don't align with your inner reasons. You say, I want peace, but you stay up scrolling news feeds at midnight. You say, I want health, but you treat rest like an afterthought. You say, I want deeper relationships, but you fill your calendar with obligations that keep you distant. This gap between words and identity creates interference like a radio station half in tune, where static drowns out the music. No matter how badly you want the outcome, your mixed signal makes it hard to lock onto. The key then is to clean up your frequency. Strip away the noise until only the true desire remains. Start by writing a one-sentence identity statement that begins with, I am the kind of person who. This bypasses vague wishes and anchors you into identity. Instead of saying, I want to be financially free, you might declare, I am the kind of person who manages money with clarity and confidence. Instead of saying, I want to get healthy, you might say, I am the kind of person who treats my body like a trusted partner. Do you see the difference? The first chases outcomes. The second broadcasts identity. Once you write your statement, audit your week. Look at your calendar, your routines, your habits. Which activities align with that identity? Which contradict it? Alignment amplifies your signal. Contradiction weakens it. When you consistently choose what supports your identity, you're not just hoping for outcomes. You're embodying the frequency that attracts them. Take it deeper with what I call your North Star metric. This is not the outcome itself, but a measurable reflection of the identity you're cultivating. If your identity is I am the kind of person who builds meaningful connections, then your North Star might be quality conversations per week. If your identity is I am the kind of person who prioritizes health, then your metric could be days in motion each month. The metric keeps your attention where it belongs, living the identity while the outcomes follow naturally. Finally, eliminate your top 3 sources of noise. 1. Ambiguous goals. 2 weak boundaries. And 3. Toxic comparisons. Replace them with clarity, simple rules, and gratitude. When you stop broadcasting static, you'll notice something astonishing. You no longer need to push outcomes into being. Your signal becomes so clear that life knows exactly how to respond. That's when manifestation shifts from chance to certainty. Most people start with strategy. They want a new outcome, so they dive straight into action plans, tools, frameworks, and methods. They map out detailed steps, buy new planners, or download the latest productivity apps. And yet, despite all this preparation, they find themselves overwhelmed, stuck, or burned out. Why? Because strategy is secondary. What matters most is state. Your inner state, the way your body feels, your mind focuses. And your emotions settle as the foundation on which strategy rests. Without coherence in your state, even the best strategy feels heavy. With coherence, even ordinary actions produce extraordinary results. Think about it. Have you ever sent the exact same email from 2 different states of being? One day, you're stressed, scattered, rushing to get it out. Another day, you're calm, centered, clear. The words might be nearly identical, but the responses are not. People sense the difference. They're not just reading your words, they're receiving the frequency behind them. That frequency comes from your state. Your nervous system is the instrument through which you broadcast your signal. When you are tense, shallow breathing, distracted, or fragmented, your signal is scrambled. People interpret it as uncertainty, hesitation, or lack of trustworthiness. But when you are calm, steady, and present, your signal is coherent. People interpret it as confidence, clarity, and leadership. This is why mastering your state is not optional, it's the amplifier of every strategy you use. So how do you begin to align your state? Start with simple coherence practices. One powerful method is the 5-5-5 reset. 5 deep breaths, in and out, with slow, steady rhythm. 5 minutes of quiet stillness where you allow your mind to settle. 5 minutes of intentionally cultivating the emotion you want to embody, that to gratitude. Calm confidence, playful curiosity, or quiet certainty. This isn't positive thinking. It's tuning your instrument. By practicing the feeling, before you step into your tasks, you're giving your body a reference point. You're saying, this is who I am today. This is the frequency I'm broadcasting. When you carry that coherence into your work, everything feels lighter. And don't forget the basics: nutrition, sleep, and movement. They aren't side quests. They're core to your frequency. A 20-minute walk outside can clear mental fog better than an hour of pushing through at your desk. Hydration and balanced meals stabilize your energy so you're not misinterpreting fatigue as lack of motivation. Sleep resets your entire system, protect it as fiercely as you would your most important meeting. These aren't luxuries. They're non-negotiables if you want coherence. Here's a powerful question to ask yourself. Before tackling any major task, who do I need to be for this to feel easy? Not, what do I need to do, but who must I embody? Then, take one small action from that state. Send the proposal, make the call, write the paragraph. Small aligned actions from a coherent state create far more progress than frantic effort from a fragmented state. When state comes first, strategy works with you, not against you. Work no longer feels like a grind, it feels like flow. The heavy becomes light. That's the power of coherence. Here's a truth that many people miss. Results are not random. And they're not just about action. Results are the byproduct of identity. Who you believe you are deep down dictates what you allow, what you pursue, and what you sustain. You don't rise above your identity. You live out of it. If you see yourself as someone who struggles, even when opportunities come, you'll sabotage them. If you see yourself as someone who is disciplined, resourceful, and capable, you'll naturally act in alignment with that identity, and your results will reflect it. This is why people who rely on sheer willpower burn out. They're trying to wrestle their old identity into compliance. They tell themselves, I'll grind harder. I'll push longer. I'll resist temptation. And maybe it works for a week, maybe 2. But sooner or later, the old identity pulls them back. The solution isn't to fight harder, it's to engineer a new identity. When your identity shifts, your behaviors follow effortlessly. So how do you build identity by design instead of by accident? Start with something I call assumption installation. Ask yourself, if I were already the person who had my goal, what would I assume to be true about myself and the world? For example, if your goal is to lead a thriving team, you might assume, my perspective matters, conflict is solvable, and feedback is fuel. If your goal is optimal health, you might assume, movement is part of who I am. Food is fuel, not escape, and my body recovers when I give it care. These assumptions are not empty affirmations. They're the invisible rules that govern how you operate. Write down 5 to 7 assumptions for your desired identity and start living as though they are already true. The next step is to build what I call evidence stacks. Every day, prove your new identity in small, tangible ways, not outcomes proofs. For instance, I wrote 250 words today because I'm the kind of person who writes. Or, I cooked a healthy meal because I'm the kind of person who honors my body. Or, I delegated a task because I'm the kind of leader who trusts others. Each small act may feel insignificant in isolation, but stacked over days and weeks, they become undeniable evidence. Eventually, your brain stops resisting and starts saying, this is just who I am. Language is the final piece. The words you use reinforce your identity. Eliminate weak phrases like "I hope," "I'll try," or "if it works out." Replace them with clear, identity-driven language, "I intend," "I commit," as this unfolds. This isn't arrogance, it's precision. It's telling your nervous system, hold this frequency. When you speak from identity, you stop negotiating with your goals and start embodying them. Here's the beauty. Once identity tips, behaviors no longer require constant effort. The diet isn't a chore, it's normal. The business call isn't scary, it's routine. The morning walk isn't forced, it's part of who you are. Results stop being uphill battles and start becoming downhill inevitabilities. That's identity engineering. It's not about forcing yourself to do more, it's about becoming the person who makes the result natural. Intention alone is powerful, but when it is paired with emotion, it becomes unstoppable. Think of intention as the blueprint, the clear picture of what you desire. Now think of emotion as the electricity that powers that blueprint, the energy that brings it to life. Without intention, your energy has no direction. Without emotion, your intention has no fuel. Together, they create resonance, a vibration that matches the future you are calling into existence. Most people make the mistake of trying to manifest with intention only. They write affirmations, they say the words, they think the thoughts. But deep down, their emotions are rooted in doubt, fear, or scarcity. This is like trying to start a car without fuel. The design may be there, but the energy to move it forward is missing. That is why people get frustrated. They think the process doesn't work, when in truth, it is their emotional state that is not aligned with their desire. Imagine you want financial freedom. You can picture it clearly, the house, the travel, the comfort. But if you constantly feel anxious about money, if you are stressed every time a bill arrives, your emotions are contradicting your vision. The signal you're sending into the field is not abundance's lack. The universe doesn't hear your words. It feels your frequency. It responds not to what you want, but to who you are being in this moment. This is why emotion is key. When you can feel gratitude, joy, or excitement for a reality that has not yet materialized, you collapse the distance between you and that reality. You bring the vibration of your future into the now. And when you consistently hold that alignment, reality has no choice but to reorganize itself around you. Let's use a simple example. Athletes do this all the time. Before stepping onto the field or the court, they don't just think about winning, they feel it. They rehearse the celebration, the pride, the confidence. Their body believes it before it happens. That belief, combination of intention and emotions, sets the stage for performance that matches their vision. So how do you do this in daily life? Start by clarifying your intention. Write it down. Make it precise, vivid, undeniable. Then close your eyes and step into it emotionally. Feel the relief of the debt being paid off, the freedom of booking the flight, the love of holding the hand of the partner you desire. Let the emotion rise within you until your body doesn't know the difference between imagination and reality. That feeling, that resonance's the secret. This isn't wishful thinking. It's biology meeting physics. Your nervous system can't distinguish between what's vividly imagined and what's real. When you combine intention with elevated emotion, you're literally training your body to live in your future. And when your body believes, the quantum field responds. We often think manifestation is all about thoughts. If I just think it enough, visualize it enough, it will come. And yes, thought is powerful, it's the seed. But without action, thought remains electricity with no wire to travel through. Action is the antenna that broadcasts your inner frequency out into the world. Think about a radio tower. The tower itself isn't the music. The music is the signal, the frequency. But without the tower broadcasting, no one hears it. You could have the most beautiful music playing in your studio, but until you flip the switch and transmit, it stays locked in that room. That's how your behavior works. It's the transmitter of the frequency you carry inside. Every action you take tells the universe, this is what I believe. This is who I am. If you say you want abundance but act out of fear, hoarding every penny and avoiding opportunities, you are broadcasting scarcity. If you say you want love but isolate yourself, never opening your heart, your behavior sends out the signal of rejection. The universe doesn't listen to what you say you want, it listens. It's the language of your consistent actions. And this is where alignment becomes powerful. When thought, feeling, and action line up, you create a coherent broadcast. It's like upgrading from a weak AM signal to a crystal clear FM station. People sense it. Opportunities resonate with it. Life begins to respond. You don't need to chase. Your frequency starts pulling. Let's make this practical. Imagine you want a new career that excites you. You visualize it, you feel it, but then you continue spending hours every night scrolling mindlessly, doing nothing to sharpen your skills or connect with people in that field. That behavior broadcasts indecision, not intention. Now imagine instead you update your resume, take a class, schedule conversations with people who inspire you. You've just raised your antenna. You're telling life, I'm serious, tuned in. And the remarkable thing is, life answers back. Doors open that seemed locked before. Behavior is magnetic. People are drawn to consistency. They trust actions more than words. When your actions align with your frequency, you don't need to convince anyone, you radiate conviction. And here's the deeper truth. Every small action compounds. That phone call, that email, that morning routine, they may feel insignificant alone, but together they amplify your signal. And when your signal is strong, manifestation no longer feels like effort. It feels like gravity. Things come to you naturally because you are broadcasting without static. So ask yourself today, what signal are my actions sending? Am I a tower transmitting clarity and confidence, or am I scattering mixed signals? Remember, manifestation isn't passive. It's not just thought, it's embodied thought. Your behavior is the bridge between the invisible and the visible, between your inner vision and your outer reality. Act as though what you want is already on its way. Watch how quickly the world tunes in to your station. If manifestation is about alignment, then resistance is about interference. Imagine trying to tune into your favorite radio station, but the signal keeps breaking up. Static noise, cross chatter. You don't blame the station. You check your dial, adjust the antenna, maybe even move to a better spot where the signal comes in clear. Life is no different. Your desires, your intentions, your vision, those broadcasts are already being transmitted in the quantum field. The question is, are you a clear receiver, or are you drowning in interference? This is where a friction audit becomes non-negotiable. Friction is anything in your life that scrambles your signaled out, toxic relationships, unnecessary obligations, environments that keep you small, habits that drain instead of energize. These things don't just cost you time, they cost you frequency. And when your frequency is scrambled, you don't attract with clarity. You attract with confusion. Think about it. How many times have you said you wanted peace, yet kept entertaining people who thrive on chaos? How often have you said you want abundance, yet surrounded yourself with scarcity talk conversations filled with, I can't afford this, things never work out for me, or it's too risky? That's friction. It's subtle, but it's deadly to resonance. The friction audit starts with awareness. Begin by asking, what in my daily life lowers my energy? It drains me. What habits pull me out of alignment with my higher vision? Write them down. Don't sugarcoat it. Because what you tolerate becomes your atmosphere. And your atmosphere? decides what frequency you can consistently hold. Sometimes subtraction is more powerful than addition. People often think manifestation requires doing more, visualizing more, meditating more, working harder. But sometimes the breakthrough doesn't come from adding. It comes from removing. Remove the gossip. Remove the clutter. Remove the late-night doom scrolling that leaves you restless and foggy the next morning. Remove the yes you give out of obligation when deep down you wanted to say no. What happens when you start subtracting friction? Suddenly, space appears. Your mind quiets. Your energy stabilizes. You stop leaking power in 10 different directions. And now, instead of trying to force your intention into the field, you can. Broadcast it cleanly, like a laser instead of a flickering bulb. Remember this, friction is expensive. Every ounce of it takes away clarity, takes away alignment, takes away resonance. But clarity is magnetic. When you remove what scrambles your signal, manifestation stops being this uphill battle. It feels effortless, because your frequency is pure. So the audit is simple but radical. Release what does not match where you're going. Protect your signal like it's sacred, because it is. The universe is always broadcasting back to you what you put out. The cleaner your channel, the clearer your results. There's a truth about energy that too many people overlook. We don't just shape our own world, we amplify and shape the worlds of others. Think about the people you spend the most time with. Their moods, habits, language, and even their expectations slowly seep into your own frequency. This isn't coincidence, it's quantum entanglement in action. When two particles are entangled, what happens to one instantly influences the other, regardless of distance. The same applies to human beings. Our thoughts, emotions, and actions ripple out and affect those we connect with, even when we don't realize it. When you're around someone who constantly complains, doubts, or criticizes, you may not notice it right away, but over time, your own thoughts begin to reflect theirs. You find yourself doubting opportunities, focusing on problems instead of solutions, or even shrinking your dreams to match their limited vision. On the other hand, when you're surrounded by people who believe in possibility, who talk about growth, solutions, and expansion, you rise. Their energy multiplies your own. This is why your inner circle is not just a casual choice, it's a frequency filter. Every conversation you have is either sharpening your resonance or scrambling it. Every interaction is either pulling you back into fear or propelling you forward into alignment. The question you need to ask is simple. Who am I entangling with? This isn't about cutting people off harshly or rejecting those who are struggling. It's about awareness. You have to be intentional about who you give your energy to and who you absorb energy from, just as you wouldn't allow toxic waste. In your drinking water, you can't allow toxic resonance into your frequency field. Protecting your resonance isn't selfish, it's essential. Because once you're aligned, your very presence becomes a multiplier for others. Consider this. When you walk into a room confident, peaceful, and aligned, others feel it. They may not know why, but suddenly they feel calmer, more open, more hopeful. That's entanglement. When you take action on your dreams, the people around you start to believe in theirs. When you hold yourself to a higher standard, you silently give others permission to do the same. That's the power of being a multiplier. So the invitation here is to conduct an entanglement audit. Who multiplies your energy? Who drains it? Who nudges you closer to your dreams? And who keeps you entangled in mediocrity? Choose wisely, because resonance isn't just personal, it's contagious. Align with multipliers, and you become a multiplier yourself. And when that happens, manifestation doesn't just feel effortless, it becomes inevitable.